Monitoring irrigation system is looking to help farmers even when there isn't any rain in sight. Many farmers are dealing with extensive drought, and irrigation systems can be a big help. A new system called low-cost monitoring is to gauge water patterns and monitor soil conditions. Engineers say the system helps to optimize the use of water and energy, resulting in better production. It doesn't disperse water, but it can connect it to another irrigation system.
The farmers are asking, hey, how much should I water? And having this sensor data, we can provide a recommendation how much to water.
The goal is to make this new technology a more affordable option. With the mix of no rain, having an irrigation system can impact farmers' ability to produce the necessary crops and hit your wallet.